Hi everyone, it's Grace again with a new book. This time it's Ling and Ting's Lunar New Year. Yes, Ling and Ting are back, and I have a special offer for educators. If you order this book before February 5th from the Carl Museum Bookshop, you'll receive a free virtual school visit with me on February 12th. At this visit, I'll share the customs of the Lunar New Year and we'll draw a horse together for the Year of the Horse. The webinar will be recorded, so you can watch it at a later time if you're not able to join live. But it's a great way to celebrate the Lunar New Year with your students. The link to all the info is in the show notes. I hope to see you. Thanks!
Hi, I'm Alvina Ling.
And I'm Grace Lin.
And we're book friends
Forever!
We're childhood friends
Who grew up to be
a children's book editor.
and an author and illustrator. Yay!
Welcome to Book Friends Forever. This is the Chop Suey, new imprint, AI and library laws, literary travel, and book recs with Alison Morris episode. As a reminder, once a month, we'll have an odds and ends episode where we cover several topics.
And check out our Instagram handle at bookfriendsforever_podcast. Alvina, so much exciting news happening. How have you been with all this exciting news?
Yes, well, the exciting news is that I like alluded to last week, and I didn't say, but it has been announced. So it was officially announced that I will be starting a new imprint, which we will talk more about in the first segment of this episode. So I won't talk about it too much now, but that was announced. So that was very exciting. And so, yes, I feel like a lot of my time has been spent responding to congratulations from people, which is nice. And it's nice just hearing from people from, like former colleagues and just, from everyone from all walks of life, of my life too.
Yay.
But other than that, I've been editing. My friend Donna, who I've mentioned before, Donna Freitas, she, lives mostly in Barcelona right now, but she was
Mhm.
in the US promoting her new adult book. It's her second adult novel, her first thriller, and it's called Her One Regret.
Mm.
And it came out, I think, last week, but I went to an event she had at at a Barnes and Noble in Brooklyn, and that was really fun. A bunch of us went to drinks afterwards, and I'm excited to read it. I haven't read it yet, but it's
Mm.
basically a thriller about a woman who disappears and basically her baby, her infant is left in I think it's a grocery store parking lot. And so, she's like a missing person. But the question is, was she kidnapped or did she run? Because
Mm.
she was having some regrets. She had expressed some regrets to her friend about having a baby. So the
Mhm.
friend is a little bit wondering if she like ran away from her life.
Mhm.
I'm kind of interested in reading it.
Hmm. Interesting.
Um, and then speaking of babies and not regretting, so my friend Evelyn, I think I've mentioned this before because we hosted her baby shower, but
Mhm.
she had her baby born.
Oh my gosh!
Yes. She was
Yay!
born actually on election day. We were
Oh wow!
joking that they should call her
Oh,
baby
Donnie.
Zora.
Oh yeah. So.
But what's kind of funny, so Evelyn's partner's name is Mark with a
Uh-huh.
C, and a mutual friend had just, maybe like months ago jokingly started calling the baby Marceline because that's
Hmm.
kind of a combination of Mark and Evelyn because
Uh-huh.
her name is spelled Eveline, so
Uh-huh.
it's like Marceline. So, actually at the baby shower, or maybe I just said, "Oh, like what names are you thinking?" She said, we actually are thinking Marceline
Really?
because they had just started calling the unborn baby Marceline and they got
Uh-huh.
used to it and they actually like the name. And so
It is pretty.
indeed, the baby's name is Marceline.
Oh,
So
it's pretty. It's unusual, but not so unusual where you're like
right, like it's an actual name.
like
And
avocado
it's
toast. You're like,
they were joking. I think they have some friends who are French, and I guess it is a French name. And
oh,
they
uh-huh.
said, "Oh, it's funny that she has a French name, but she's not French." I said, "Well, my one of my niece's name is Shoshana, which I think is a very Jewish name
Oh,
generally, and she is not Jewish, so
oh.
it's just a beautiful name." and it's
I
fine.
didn't realize that.
And my
But
name, I mean, I think my name is British, I think,
is
technically.
it?
I think
Hmm.
so, because it comes from Alvin, the feminine form of Alvin,
That makes sense.
Old English.
Yes.
I am not old or English. No, just kidding. I am old, a little bit old, middle aged. Um, anyway, so yeah, that's how I've been. How about you? You've been traveling.
Yes, I've been traveling. I don't know what it is. This time around, the travel was hard. It was, when I went on tour in May for The Gate, the Girl and the Dragon, it was hard, but like I feel like I came out of that like okay, like I was all prepared, and I think maybe this one I didn't prepare well, because I was really, really tired like the whole
Yeah.
time. First I went to the Virginia Association of School Librarians Conference,
Hmm.
and that was really, really great. And that was so fun to see all these school librarians, and they're all, it's just librarians are just so awesome. They're always fighting the good fight, and
They
like
are.
and so that was really great. And I met Ginger Park, who was an
Hmm.
author of one of the books that I
All right.
illustrated a million
The
years
bagel
ago.
book.
Yes, the bagel book for Lee and Low. Where on earth is my bagel? So it was really fun to see her. She and her sister used to own a chocolate shop someplace in Virginia,
Ooh.
but she said that they just sold it. So I was like, darn it, missed the chocolate shop. But so that was really fun. And then but from there I flew to the Texas Book Fest in Austin. And I think that was where I it was so unpleasant. The
Mm.
flight to Austin was delayed like 3, 4 hours, but it wasn't just like normal delay. We were like sitting in the airplane for like 3, 4 hours because
Oh, that's
there
the
wasn't
worst.
enough people to not enough workers, basically a work
Is
shortage.
it
So like
because of the shutdown?
yeah, so there was a work shortage. So uh, I don't know if it was like in Richmond or if it was in Austin that what the problem was, but we were just waiting for an okay to go, and it was just really, really unpleasant. It was like I don't know. I was sitting near somebody who just um, I hate to. They just smelled really bad.
Oh no.
Like just like it was just like really, really unpleasant. And like I don't like I don't want to be mean to other people because we've all been there, but but I was just like 3 hours of this plus the flight. I was like I'm dying. So that was really not good. And so like I got in after midnight, which is really late for me, and then I just it seemed like I couldn't bounce back from that. So like next day I was at the festival, and there's at the festival, and everyone there's so nice, and there's so many amazing books and so many amazing authors, but I just could not
Mm.
not get it together.
Oh.
Like I mean I got it together enough,
Yes.
but
Yes.
but
But you
like
you felt off.
yeah, I felt really off. Like everyone's like, "Hey," I'm like, "Hi." But but it is one of those things though, that is it just kind of reinforces your feeling of like just so many books, right? There's just
Yeah.
so many beautiful, beautiful books and just so many amazing authors too. Like it's kind of like I it sounds silly, I know, but I'm like standing there. I'm like, what am I doing here? So,
Yeah.
uh, so that was I always have. That's why I don't do my best at festivals. If I'm not like at my well-rested state, I fall into that like spiral of like, what am I doing here? There's too many books in the world. What are my books doing? Like I get in that spiral. So I was in that spiral a little bit, but I came home, and since I've been home, I've been working actually really hard. Trying to help the Authors Against Book Bans
Mm.
section here in Massachusetts pass an act. It's called an act regarding free expression. And it's just like, it's very much like the act that, remember we talked to Padma Venkatraman,
Hmm.
that she helped to pass in Rhode Island. So it's very similar to that. What we're working on is to do what similar to what she did is to add the amendments that protect authors.
Hmm.
And so Authors Against Book Bans have kind of tapped me and my friend Jarrett Krasoska and Mike Corrado to kind of
That's great.
help talk to our representatives. And
Hmm. It's
so
a
we've
lot
been
of
writing
work.
letters, and I met
Hmm.
with our representative, and so it went really well. So I'm really crossing my fingers that
That's
it all
great.
works. So who knows? We'll see.
Yeah,
So
that's exciting.
Oh, wait, and I got one more question for you.
Okay.
So, and this is a question to everyone, but I'd love to hear your opinion. So, I'm working on my dish towels, dish
Mm-hmm.
towel designs, and I have a dish towel design that I'm working on that's dim sum. I have a dish towel design that's Chinese vegetables, like the ugly vegetables, right?
Oh, fun.
So, the problem is that right now they're really inconsistent because the Chinese vegetables has Chinese characters
Mm,
as well as pinyin, Chinese pinyin. But
mm,
the dim sum, I have Chinese characters, but I have the Cantonese pronunciation because dim sum, you wouldn't say dim sum in
mm-hmm.
Mandarin. So I'm like, so it's really weird. I'm like, should I put it in pinyin, but or should I just not have the pronunciation? But I feel like me personally, I like to have the pronunciation. So is it bad to have it one be like to have these dish towels completely inconsistent? I guess that's what the question is.
I don't think so. I think it's fine to have Cantonese pronunciation for dim sum and Mandarin for the vegetables. I think
Vegetable.
that's fine because
You don't think people
I
will be
guess
like,
similar
"Rah."
to, if we're thinking about translating books to Spanish, like the same publisher will use different kinds of Spanish depending on the topic in the book and, the
Uh,
characters.
uh-huh.
So I think that that's similar here.
Okay. All
So
right.
I think that's
We'll
fine.
see. Hopefully it'll be okay.
That's my professional opinion.
And do you think it's okay that some one is simplified Chinese and the other is traditional, or do you think they should all be traditional characters or all simplified characters?
Oh, I don't think it matters. I think dim sum, it makes sense to be traditional.
Oh,
Well,
really?
actually, no. I guess dim sum can be either one
Yeah.
because Hong Kong used to use traditional, but they now probably use
Use
simplified,
simplified.
and
Yeah.
then Canton would use
Yeah.
simplified. So you have simplified for the dim sum, and then
Yeah,
traditional for
then
the Chinese vegetables.
yeah, but then I was like, maybe they should both be simplified.
Well, the traditional for the Chinese vegetables in a way makes sense because I feel like that's like a homage to your mom,
Uh-huh.
and your mom would use traditional
Traditional? Yeah.
characters. So,
Okay.
because Taiwan uses traditional characters. So, I don't think your
Okay.
mom would even know how to read. Like
Yeah.
I feel like my parents when they see traditional, like sometimes they're like, what is that?
Okay.
I
All
mean,
right. So
simplified,
maybe
not traditional.
maybe that would be good because then
Yeah,
it'll be the Cantonese with the simplified and
right.
then the pinyin with the traditional.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's
And then
we're
hopefully
workshopping this.
yeah. Okay. All right. All right. So we're all set there. Let's go on with our episode.
Yes. Okay. Well, the first segment is to talk about what I can share about my imprint, which
Yay!
I guess
It's
I don't
still
know
unnamed.
it's still unnamed. So I know that I think people were a little confused because I think, in the announcement, it did say it was a boutique imprint. And
Mhm.
generally, I think within publishing, generally that means it could be an eponymous imprint, which is sometimes an imprint that is named after the editor who's starting
Mhm.
it, or or like I know Lori Hornick, her imprint, which is I think it's just her and an assistant, is called like Rocky. I think it's called Rocky Pond Books.
Mhm.
So it is basically just it's probably just going to be me and my assistant.
Mhm.
I think we have Christy Ottaviano books at Little Brown, and I think that's kind of the model that I want to match. And Christy, there's three of them. She has a senior editor as well.
Mhm.
So it's possible that we would grow to that, but I don't think it's going to grow beyond
Mhm.
that. So it's not like a whole brand new imprint with staff and I'm going to be
Mhm.
hiring, like
Uh-huh.
that's not the case. So it pretty much is just going to be all the books that I've acquired and edited will stay with me. The new books, as soon as I have a name and a logo and can figure out the production timing, then the new logo and imprint will go on to those books. But my backlist, I'm gonna keep. Like even though it's technically not gonna have the imprint name necessarily, although we might retroactively add it to series, like if it's midstream. I don't know. I'm really kind of open to talking to authors about how they feel about
Mhm.
going back, including
Yeah.
you, and like adding it retroactively or not.
I think it'd be cool. I'd like to do that actually.
Great. I would like that as well. So I think, because I remember with when Megan Tingley had her imprint. I was an editorial assistant, and I think there were some series that we did go back and retroactively add it, but not all of the books because
So you
that would just
think
be
that,
costly and time consuming.
so does it change the way that you acquire? Like, if I remember correctly, Christy is pretty, what's the word? Does she have to go through all the
Like
acquisitions and all that
acquisitions.
stuff? Yeah.
So, I'm not exactly sure. Christy does bring projects to acquisitions, but I do think, and I was told that I will have a little bit more autonomy. So I think there might be some projects that I won't have to bring to acquisitions. I think if it's, like a big auction and I'm going to be, I'll need the whole team to buy in. Like I do
Hmm.
think those will still go. And I think I'll have to see. I mean, like for example, if there's it's a repeat author and maybe I wouldn't have to bring that, but if it's a debut author, maybe I would. Because in general, I think it's because I'm so used to the acquisitions committee way of doing business, and I
I feel like you
like
kind of like the acquisitions committee
I
way.
do like knowing, what sales and marketing think of something in advance because I don't want to publish books that are going to be dead in the water, which is I think the issue that some editors have at other houses that don't have an acquisition meeting.
Yeah,
So,
I think it goes back to what we were saying. Was it leadership or decision making? I feel
right,
like,
I'm Democratic.
yeah, you're democratic versus visionary, which is not, so it's
Right.
interesting.
But there might be some that I'll be if I feel really strongly, or I just know, or it could also be a situation where because sometimes if I bring something to acquisitions meeting and it's in really rough shape, but I
Uh-huh.
know it's going to change a lot and I'm going to get it there, and that
Uh-huh.
might be a case where I probably like, it might be better not to bring it and just share it with the group when it's
Uh-huh.
farther along. So
So what do you think will
we
be
shall
your
see.
how it's so hard to explain to people like imprints, like there's a certain like taste that you can
Hmm.
tell, like, oh,
This
this
is
is a Balls and Bray book, like you like
right.
and it's so hard to like put your finger on like what makes it like
What
a
makes an
comical
Alvina
book.
Ling book?
Yeah,
Not that
so
that.
is there something that like you think that would make it an Alvina Ling book? Not that it's going to be called Alvina Ling books, but you know what I mean.
Right. And it might be. I don't know. I I think that is. I think that's why. So I am a little torn about whether or not it should be an eponymous imprint or not. Meaning, like, should it be named my name or part of my name, or should it just be like a different word or phrase? And I think because I do everything from board books all the way up to young adult, and I'll do thrillers and, a serial killer book, but then I'll do a really sweet, like, I love you book.
Mhm.
Although I don't know if I've done a really sweet I love you book, but maybe that's not really in my taste. I, it's hard to find one word or phrase that encapsulates that. I posted about this on social media, and I do think my philosophy has, and this is when I just acquire for my own list, which is now going to be an imprint, is I do want every book I publish to be at least one child's favorite book.
Hmm.
And I think for me, what makes that possible is just a lot of care put into the creation of the book.
Hmm.
But it could be a really commercial book, but it also
Hmm.
could be a very literary book. I do hope to have a very diverse list in terms of, category, genre, creators, topics, everything. But I hope that they're all really quality books
Hmm.
and that people just feel like that they were made with a lot of love and care.
Hmm.
But other than that, I'm not sure what would link the books. I mean, like Christy Ottaviano does a lot of nonfiction picture books,
Hmm.
but not all. So,
Hmm.
I do think there's,
But you
I,
kind of there's a taste there though. You can kind of like,
right. And I
but it
feel
is
like,
interesting. I can't really explain what that is. It's
right.
like, but it's kind of like when you know it, you're like, oh, I can see
Yeah,
this is a
right.
Ottaviano book.
And I hope that I think people tend to feel like there's some kind of, you, you something that unites the books that I tend to edit and acquire too,
Hmm.
even though a lot of them are really different. So we'll see.
Yeah. I feel like what makes you really unique as an editor is that you you take your author's vision and you help them achieve their vision to the highest level that they can. And I think that's a really great trait. I think that there's two kinds of editors. I think we've talked about this before. There's editors who are kind of more like architects, who are kind of like
Like
no,
really
no, this is how you should
tinkering.
build it. Yeah, like
Yeah.
tinker and tinker, like build it like this. And that is great for some authors, but not great for others. But then there's editors like you who are kind of more like lighthouses or guiders or like the Gandalfs or
Oh,
like go this way, like you don't
lighthouse
tell
books. No,
like you don't tell
hmm
them how to do it, but you point them in that direction. And
Hmm.
so I think that I don't know where I was going. I was going to say something about that, but now I lost my train of thought because I got
Yes.
thinking about Gandalf. But I just think it's an interest. Oh, I remember. So I feel like for you, it's almost like I don't know if I can say, oh, that's an Alvina Ling book, that's an Alvina Ling book. But I can feel like I can say like, oh, Peter Brown is an Alvina Ling author. Like
Mm,
I feel like I can say like so and so, oh, I can that feels like an Alvina Ling author kind of thing. So I don't know if that's so helpful or not.
mm. Well, yeah, I don't know either, but we'll see. And I guess to talk a little bit more about, I guess what this means. So my imprint was announced along with kind of a reorganization of our department. So now the Little Brown Young Readers Group, I mean, we're still going to be part of the same editorial group, but there are going to be two publishing directors that oversee um, two segments of the business. So Lisa Yaskowitz, who has been, I think she's senior editorial director already, and she was overseeing the nonfiction and also Jimmy Patterson imprint. And then
Mhm.
at the beginning of this year, she launched Requited, which is the
Mhm.
new adult imprint. So
Mhm.
she's going to be taking on young adult and new adult, which
Mhm.
totally makes sense because even in this past year, there have been a couple projects that could be either. So it makes
Mhm.
sense for one person to kind of be overseeing those two
Mhm.
segments. And then we brought in a woman named Erin Berger, who
Mhm.
actually has a marketing background. She was at Penguin and then was most recently at Scholastic. And she's going to be publishing director of 0 to 12, basically. And I
Uh-huh.
think there's going to be a little bit overlap with nonfiction and graphic novel, like in terms of age, because I think
Mhm.
Erin will do all illustrated kind of books or will be under her purview.
Mhm.
And Lisa, because she specializes in nonfiction, I think maybe 10 and up for
Mhm.
nonfiction might still be under her. So, you know, there, there's a lot for them to figure out. And Erin actually just started on Monday. So,
Oh wow.
but nothing's going to actually go into effect until January.
Mhm.
So we're kind of doing business as usual
Yeah.
until the end of the year. And then that gives, I think, Erin and Lisa some time to figure out how they're going to structure things
And
and
you
do
too.
things. And me too, and I think it's a
I hope
little
they do a
bit,
big party for you, like unveil your logo and
I
stuff
know. Well,
like
I
a
guess I'll
campaign
need to.
toast of like
I think that something probably can happen. But it's a little bittersweet because I have really enjoyed my role as editor in chief. But I will say, and I think you've talked about this, about how you feel like having a review proof book is a book that you like really know that you've put in your all.
yeah.
And even though I like to think I've been able to still put in a lot of care into the books I edit, like I really
Hmm.
have been pulled into two directions in terms of
Hmm.
both the editing and acquiring and also the managerial
Hmm.
and a lot of the admin.
Hmm.
So I think just thinking about like this imprint is kind of like opening things up for me. And
Hmm.
I'm kind of, even though I feel a little bit out of practice in some ways of like, oh, I'm just focusing on acquiring and editing. Like, whoa. um, I'm just getting really excited about it because,
Yeah, I'm excited about it too.
yeah, like I just feel like I'm gonna have. I mean, maybe I'm deluded, but I just think, oh, maybe I'll have time to not to have inbox zero every day or every
It's
week.
possible.
Because I'll have fewer meetings to go to. And I
That's true, but I
think
think you'll get inundated with a lot more.
I do too, because then I was remembering, oh, well, I've had email issues my whole career, not
Yeah.
just when I became editorial
But I
director
think
or
it'll be
editor in
different.
chief.
I think it'll be different kinds of emails though.
Yes, yes. And I am still going to be
And
pretty
you won't be
selective in
and you won't
my
be as much of a
acquiring.
black hole too,
I
so that's
hope so.
exciting.
I hope so. So, agents, I apologize. I mean, my inbox has ballooned to over 1,000 or, again, but I am hoping to get to inbox zero by the end of the year. But I do have a lot of submissions in my inbox, so I hope to get back to people soon.
Yay.
And then next year, I feel like, with fewer meetings and fewer duties, managerial duties, just feel like I should be able to, knock on wood, get
Yeah.
back to those sooner. So, yay. So
Hooray.
that's it. And, more to come. And
Yes, I
as soon
can't
as I
wait.
have more news to share, I will.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm excited. I really hope that they do something like a big party for you or a big like
There'll be something.
something.
Well, next year is actually it's Hachette. Is it technically Hachette? It's Hachette's 200 year
Yeah, they should like
anniversary.
do it at
And then it's
ALA or
Little
something.
Brown Books for Young Readers 100-year
Oh,
anniversary.
wow.
And then so maybe yeah, I think maybe something. But
Oh,
I need
yeah.
a name and logo first.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be what it's they're also having not just ALA, it's that used to be BookCon, but now it's something else. Is BookCon back? Is that what it is?
Oh yeah,
Book,
BookCon's back. But that's
BookCon.
consumer forward, so that's not
Yeah,
industry.
okay.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like maybe at ALA they should do like a big party for you or something. Because I don't think I'm gonna be there, so it's a bummer.
I don't think it'll
So
be a big party, but
I think it should be a big party. I mean, everybody needs to know.
I think it's a pretty could be a big online party.
I think it should be an in-person party. I'm gonna fight for the for something like that. Not that I
Anyway,
have any power.
for our next segment, I feel like there's AI stuff constantly, but
Yeah.
we're focusing on this article that you had heard about. Do you want to introduce
Yeah.
this?
So actually, so this was sent to me by also by Authors Against Book Bans, and they are asking actually me asking members to make a video, which I have not gotten around to doing yet, but to in support of Texas librarians, because apparently there is a law in Texas. I can't remember which bill. Like I think it's bill number 13 or something. But it's that is so poorly written. That's so poorly written that it that that many schools have decided to use AI to basically weed out the offensive books because it's just such a huge
Right.
thing that
It's just
they
impossible for
yeah,
anyone to
it's
undertake.
impossible for any people to do like a person for a librarian to do. So they're just gonna use AI to weed everything out, which is just it's just bad in so many ways. Number one, like maybe you need to rewrite the law if you have to have AI do this job. And number two, just never,
I mean,
never,
maybe
never
they should just
AI.
abolish this law.
Yes. Like, like, yes, uh, but never AI over a librarian. I mean,
Yeah.
remember we were talking about that list of books that AI produced
And
that
10
were
of the
didn't
15 were
exist,
fake.
that were fake. And then I think about, yeah, I just think about how A Big Mooncake for Little Star was removed from shelves, um, just because it was on, just because it was on a list of other books. And I just feel like if schools decide to use AI, it's going to be even worse than that. Like books that are, they were saying how books that might just happen to have the word like, here's my whoopee cushion, and that like all of a sudden, like all those are like taken out. So,
Right. Well,
um,
I mean, the government was doing this with their websites, right?
yeah.
They were kind of stripping the websites of certain
Yeah, anything that had the word
keywords.
trans, like even if it
Right.
was
And
like,
then there was, I guess there was a person whose last name was Gay, and
yeah,
he was stripped from their website. So I think that is what happens when
you
you're
use
not
AI.
having people actually do this, but trying to have
Yeah,
machines do it.
they talk about that, like the sledgehammer versus the scalpel, I guess. But it's just a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. But I'll let you.
Yeah.
So that was what I understood about it. But so wait, I suppose we should not just use my summary though, because I'm we should probably actually quote some of the things from the article.
Right. So proponents see the technology as a gift. So they see it as, oh, it frees up the staff for with time because it's
Hmm.
going to help weed out the content. But then critics say that AI screenings don't factor in context and dehumanize stories about controversial topics, clearing the way for increased restrictions. So AI, quote, doesn't fully understand the community, said Lainey Hawes, an activist with the Texas Freedom to Read Project. Books and stories are all about the human experience. Isn't that the point of books?
Yeah.
Which is true.
So.
Um, this is not really related, but I had talked about that the Georgia Peach
Hmm.
case where 8 of 20 books were quietly removed from the reading list, and then teen activists basically got them reinstated, which is
Hmm.
great. Um, there was a great book riot profile of 3 teens who were instrumental for making this happen, and it was
Nice.
just really heartwarming.
Uh-huh.
And it just kind of speaks to the humanity of it and how I don't know. I do feel like with AI or computers doing this work, I think this could happen more and more where just books are quietly
Yeah.
disappeared off lists. But it is the humans that can notice and make a
Yeah.
difference. And yeah, they do. And,
But
so they
see,
kind of talked about how they noticed and then what they did. And so
hmm.
2 teenagers individually decided to email all of the authors and tell them this was happening. And then one
Huh.
of the authors contacted Book Riot and then it got coverage. And then they
Uh-huh.
also started the petitions and they posted on social media and they posted flyers. And it was
That's
just really
great.
heartwarming. Teens.
Teens, you are awesome.
Yes, I've been quoting Linda Sue Parks TED Talk recently, where she says, "Can a children's book change the world? No, but the young readers or the young people who read them can."
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
I love that.
Yay.
All right. Well, I think there's just so much to talk about with AI. So I'm sure we'll have more AI segments in the
Yeah.
future. But I think it's just interesting that more and more people are using AI to do the actual work. And I'm
Yeah.
curious how that's happening in other industries. It's not really happening on the publishing side yet, I will say,
Hmm.
but that doesn't mean it won't. So, I guess that's
Yeah.
something we can
Yeah, I'm not
discuss.
crazy about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen it in some things that I'm
We,
surprised to see it
well,
in.
art, right? When I was in Denver at the SCBWI, someone mentioned, maybe it was Sophie Blackall, someone mentioned going to a book festival, and
Hmm.
they had used AI art for the banner.
Yeah.
And she said, "You have so many artists. Why?" And they said, "Oh, well, we didn't want to single out one artist. Like we didn't want people's
Ugh.
feelings to be hurt. But that's so you use AI art instead and hurt everybody's
Yeah.
eyes and feelings." Um, it's just, yeah, I do
Terrible.
think people are using AI
A lot of people are using it.
thoughtlessly.
People, yeah, people who I'm really surprised, and organizations that I'm really surprised using AI, like that I would not have guessed. So,
Well, even, sorry to bring up politics again, but in the mayoral campaign, Cuomo was using AI commercials. So there was one where, it had him doing all of these like blue collar New York jobs, like being a subway conductor, driving a taxi, and it was him. It was like AI him. And it was so terrible and tone deaf. And, so he was criticized saying like even this commercial is taking away jobs from New Yorkers. Like what are you doing? And but he had at least I think 3 commercials that used AI in really terrible ways. So
ugh.
anyway, it is just happening everywhere.
Happening everywhere. Ugh.
Um, all right. So in some lighter fare, our next segment, we thought we'd talk about literary travel. So Grace, you had
Yay.
found a couple of articles about this.
Yeah. Well, I've got my whole thing about traveling to China has been on my mind a lot.
Yeah.
And so, but one of the reasons why I'm making this effort is because I have this idea. Well, in The Gate, the Girl, and the Dragon, for the readers of that, they know that there's these seven cat statues in that book, and those are based on these real cat statues in Suzhou. And I have this idea of doing a book about these cat statues, and so I feel like I really need to see them, right? And so so I feel like I need to travel to see these cat statues in real life, and then I'll know what this book is about. But I as So that's like been top of mind all the time. And so then I saw this article in the New York Times where it says travel can make classic children's books come alive, and they were talking about all the places you can go where you can make your classic children's book come alive, like going to Prince Edward Island for
Yep.
Anne of Green Gables, which I have done, and it's so much fun.
I want to
And then
do that.
they were talking, oh, you should go. It's
I
so
know, I've
much
never been.
fun. And then they're saying going to the place where Pippi Longstocking is. I'm
Mm.
trying to think what that place is. There's a reproduction of Villa Veluca. I can't, it's in Sweden, but I don't know what the town is called. I was just trying to find it. Most childhood home, uh, the southern Swedish town of Vimmerby. Then you can see Pippi Longstocking. You can, of course, you can see the Little Mermaid statue in Denmark because of Hans Christian Andersen. You can see Tintin, which, I'm the take here or there, but some people love it. Then you could, go to London, I
Charles
mean, this
Dickens walking tours.
yeah, I mean, there's so much in England. I mean, that's kind of why I wanted to
Hmm.
go to England, which I haven't. Like Mary Poppins, and now
The
Hazel and
Secret
I,
Garden.
yeah, The Secret Garden. Hazel and I have read all the Agatha Christie books, so now we want to do like an Agatha Christie tour, and so I just think it's just so much fun. And I was just thinking about all the other things that could be added to this like travel list. Like for me, I know like so many readers have came up to me and they showed me pictures of them in front of a Chinatown gate, not like
Hmm.
any Chinatown gate that has the lines like, look, it's me and Jin. Like it'd be like the one in
Yeah.
Montreal, the gate in like the gate in Boston, and so it's kind of cool to think that like, oh, they've made the book come alive when they see it in real life. Um, Oh, I forgot to mention the Boston one. Speaking of Boston, that the Sheraton in Boston has made a Goodnight Moon suite. Did
Ooh.
you see that?
Yes.
They
The
made a
photos are
whole
great.
suite that looks exactly like Goodnight Moon, like the bright green walls and everything. And I'm actually really, really tempted to
Hmm.
like book it. It sounds really expensive because I just think of the Prudential, which is like already expensive, but I'm kind of I'm kind of tempted just to go, if only for the Instagram pictures.
Well, I forget, I know Libby and I have gone to Bemelman's
Oh
Cafe,
yeah.
which is beautiful and, it has art. I mean, it's just his art. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily setting the book. But then there's also the plaza, but that's in the plaza. I think it's in
Yeah.
the Plaza Hotel, which is Eloise, and there's
Eloise. And there's a
a
painting of
little,
Eloise. Yeah.
yeah, which is really fun. I feel like there's so many places in New York. I think that, like
Yeah.
even the Natural History Museum for
I'm trying to
the
think about
mixed up
more
files.
contemporary. Yeah, the mix-up files.
Yep.
Are there any contemporary books that you can think of that would be fun for people to
I
read?
mean, I feel like there are like um Katrina Yan Glazer's
Oh
books
yeah, the Vanderbeekers.
are set in New York. I can't remember which
Yeah.
borough. There are, I think Rebecca Stead, her books tend to be set in New York,
Hmm.
because she's from New York. I know one of them was in Brooklyn. Um, yeah, but there are, I mean, I don't know. I
Yeah.
love to read, New York
I feel like it should be like a
stories.
list somewhere. I almost like if
Right,
I
that's
had
true. Like
time.
Rita Williams Garcia,
Yeah.
One Crazy Summer, that's I think Oakland.
Yeah. Like
So
if I had oodles and oodles of time, I would
mhm.
start like a blog or a
Well,
website where it's
Year of the
just like
Dog is set in New Hartford.
yes. Yeah, like I would do that where you'd show like the real like a photo of the real place and then the book and then like the book and it would just
That's
like
really fun.
it'd be so much fun. Like so maybe when I retire.
I'm trying to think of. So, okay, so you've been to Prince Edward Island. Is there,
Mhm.
and you want to do, I know you wanted to do a Agatha Christie tour, but
Agatha
what?
Christie.
Yeah, what? I mean, I have been to Louisa May Alcott's house.
Yes, and Louisa May Alcott's still there. I went to that house. Then there's Emily Dickinson. Um, and then, I was, oh, and then I was thinking about um, Virginia Lee Burton, how she has the one about the one in San Francisco, the steam, not the steam, the
Oh, the Mike Mulligan.
no, not Mike Mulligan, but the trolleys, the one that goes up the steep, steep, steep.
Oh, that's fun.
It's not as well known as Mike Mulligan or The Little House, but I always think that's always really interesting. Like all these, I'm trying to think about other books that would be um
Oh, there's the Make Way for Dunklings
yes. Oh, that's
statues in the Boston
yeah.
Commons, and
Well, there's
then
all the statues too, so that's another thing too. Like statues and
yes.
places.
But it's I think the ducklings are great because it's also the setting of the book, and
Yes.
that's why they're there.
Yeah.
As opposed to like there's a Alice in Wonderland statue that's really cool in Central Park, but
Yeah.
it's not really related to Central Park at all.
There should be. I bet you there's lots of books that take place in Central Park.
Probably. They're going to be the Flacco books. I mean, there are some Flacco books, that owl. Oh, and there's
Uh-huh.
the actually I was just walking by Radio City, not Radio
Uh-huh.
City, Rockefeller Center because that's where the offices are near right next to Rockefeller Center and I walked by the trees there already. It's
Uh-huh.
not decorated yet, but we have a book called The Christmas Owl. And there's
Huh.
Alison Morris.
Hi.
Yay!
Hi,
Perfect
hi.
timing.
Good. I was like, oh
Yay.
no, I hope I'm not late.
No, we're just finishing up talking about just settings of children's books that you can go see in
Visit
real
in real
life.
life.
Oh,
Have you seen
fun.
about the thing? Have you heard about the Boston Sheraton hotel that they've made into the Goodnight Moon room?
No, I did not know about that.
I'll
I mean,
send it to you later.
I knew about the one at the uh rabbit hole in Kansas City,
Yes.
Oh, right.
Uh-huh.
but I
So
did
That's
not know
true.
about that.
literary travel. But
Yeah.
so now here we are welcoming special guest Alison Morris, children's literature specialist, to tell us what we could be reading.
Yes, Allison,
Hi,
what
hi,
could we be
hi.
reading?
What could we be
Wait,
reading?
first I just have to say congratulations,
Oh,
Alvina.
thanks.
So excited about your new imprint. Can't wait to hear
Yes,
more.
I
I assume
know.
you all talked about that earlier,
We talked
yes?
about it. I don't have too many details, but just saying that I'm
Okay,
excited
great.
to focus on the books again.
Hooray.
Yeah,
Hooray. Hooray. Yeah, I know you don't your job involves a little bit more than just that
it
currently. So
does.
yeah,
Yes, a lot more. I mean,
yeah.
this is not quite accurate, but some people said, "Oh, it's funny that they had to have two people replace you," which is not really, it's not quite, but you know,
Kind of true.
That I actually feel like that has been a hallmark of the jobs that I have had also.
mm,
Um, the joke is that three people replace me when I leave a job, and I kind of feel like I don't set out with a goal in mind, but yeah, I will make a job big enough for that to be a thing by the end. I mean, that's what you do when you really care about something and you grow it, right? So that's cool.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah,
And I didn't really see this when we were talking about it, but I was saying how, I really did enjoy being editor in chief, but it wasn't, I said this in my social media posts, like that wasn't a role that I really aspired for.
yeah,
It was just, it was offered to me and I'm like, okay, let's try it. And then I did
yeah,
end up liking it, but I never did want to be more than that. And so,
yeah,
when I did kind of look back, I'm like, okay, I've been doing this for over 10 years.
yeah,
Yeah, it's time. I've
yeah.
made my mark.
Love it.
And I could still be part of the team. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
love this for you. Great. It's all
me too.
great. It's all great. Can't wait
All
to
right.
see more
And
once
maybe I'll have more
more
time to
details play
read
out.
all of the books that you recommend.
Yes.
You know.
But I feel like it's getting harder. I don't know, even theoretically, I have the time right now, but I somehow, I don't know.
I
Anyway.
did listen to the audiobook of Undead Fox of Deadwood
Oh,
Forest.
did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was great. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd read the beginning
Yeah.
when Rakaya acquired it, but I actually
Yeah.
hadn't read the whole thing, so it was great to listen to
Yeah.
the
Oh,
audiobook.
good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I just thought the reader was incredible too for
Hmm.
that one.
Yep.
Um, all right. So, yeah, I thought I would do, it's November, even though I keep having moments of like, is it? Is it actually November? Um, uh, yeah, anyway, NCTE is coming up very soon. That is always in November. Part of how I
Oh,
know.
right.
Oh, right, we are already there. But gratitude seemed to me like a good thing to
Mm.
sort of be thinking about. And so as I was sort of figuring out what books I wanted to talk about, I was thinking about different themes that emerged for me gratitude wise. And I just first want to just say how grateful I am, and I think all of us, especially those of us who work with picture books a lot, are just so grateful for art, great art.
Hmm.
Grace, your art isn't even just in picture books, like expands into middle grade as well. But art and creativity. And so I wanted to first also just call out for anyone who hasn't done so to look at the 10 titles that were just named the New York Times Book Review and New York Public Library's best illustrated books of 2025. I feel like they just this year represented a particularly interesting, fascinating spectrum of illustration styles. I liked the different types of art that they modeled on the page. And those selections were made from nearly 800 publisher submissions. And I cannot imagine. It's a committee of three people who made the choices. But I don't know, looking at them this year, I thought, you know what? I think sometimes people who aren't steeped in this industry think they know what picture books look like. And I would love to hand them like this stack of titles. And I think if you went through them, their eyes would be open to a much wider sort of vision of what picture books can be like, in terms of
Yeah.
the storytelling and in terms of the art. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's
It's
similar to that slate.com series that they did on
true.
picture books, which was, yeah, I
Yeah.
think just opened. It's funny. Grace and I almost did that as a segment, and then we're like, no, Allison will probably talk about it. So,
It's so funny. I have to be honest, I don't always love this list,
hmm.
like as awards go. Some years it feels like it skews kind of arty or like we're doing a very European thing, or it's sort
Yeah, a
of,
lot of European books
yeah.
in the
And
past.
this year there's some sort of titles that are more domestic ones that people are going to be familiar with the illustration
Mhm.
that they'll be
Like
more familiar with
fireworks.
illustrators of. Fireworks by Matthew Burgess and Katya Chen, which I've talked about
Yay, I
this
love that
year.
one. Oh,
The newest
Katya.
book by Juji Morales, Little
Mm.
Rebels, which is great. X Fang's new fantastic picture book,
Oh, I love it.
Broken. But
Yep.
there's also others that are imports, translations that are just really terrific art. I don't know, it's just a really interesting mix. So like as a
And
mix, I
none done by
really like it.
AI.
Yes, none.
None of them made by AI. Yeah, so let's celebrate humans. Let's have gratitude for humans and their incredible, abundant creativity. Yeah, so look at that. And then while we're talking about gratitude for art, I realized at some point that I never talked about Mr. Leprand's Mystery Soup, which actually came out October 2024. And it won a Batchelder Award, a Batchelder Honor last year for translation. And I gotta tell you, we have this picture book in the house, and every time I look at it, my mind is so blown by the illustration. So the book is by Giovanna Zoboli and it's illustrated by Maria Chiara Di Giorgio, whose name I love to say. And everything she illustrates is knocks my socks off. The art in this book is just so lush. There's so much whimsy. There's so many unexpected things in the illustrations, or I don't know. The perspectives are interesting. Like, I just love the richness of everything she brings to the page. And it's just a really quirky, fun book. And I realized last month I talked about the richest cow in the world when I was
Mhm.
talking about capitalism. This is another incredible fable about capitalism that I should have thought to also bring in at the time. But anyway, Maria Chiara Di Giorgio, everything she illustrates, I love. I even bought an adaptation of The Secret Garden
Hmm.
just for her art because everything
Nice.
she illustrates, I will buy. So yeah, look at Mr. Leprand's Mystery Soup. It's also just a really delightful, satisfying story. Um, yeah, and it's, I don't know. I was gonna say, Alvina, it's a little bit like stepping down and like going back to your roots, though in
Hmm.
this case, he builds a whole factory and things get out of hand and it's very capitalist. And then he's like, I just want to make soup for my community. So anyway, he goes in a different direction than where you've gone as an
Yes.
executive editor, but still, there's some little parallel there. So anyway, yeah, so that is what came to mind in particular when I was thinking about gratitude for art and creativity. And then I was also just thinking about community and what a gift it is to be part of such a talented community. You two being among the people I get the joy of working with and learning from. The number of people in the industry I've never met, but who I learn from when I'm just even on their websites or reading the things that they create. And so I've talked about them here, and Grace, you have interviewed them on the podcast. But toward the end of my tenure at First Book, I spent a bunch of time working with author and illustrator, husband and wife duo Matthew Swanson and Robbie Bear, when they were traveling the country with their 4 kids and 2 dogs in a converted school bus doing free Title I school visits in every state as part of their Busload of Books cross-country tour. And they have a terrific new middle grade novel coming out this April. And it just, oh, I can't wait for everyone to read it. I just think it's such a unique and wonderful book. It's called Life on the Moon. And I was noticing earlier, Jasmine Warga, when she blurbed it, called it, quote, a modern day Phantom Toll Booth, which I think is totally apt. Though, if I'm being honest, I think it might have a little more gravity than the Phantom Toll Booth, which as I was typing that out, I was like, that seems ironic for a book on the moon. But anyway, it is the story of this resourceful, highly responsible kid named Leo, who is given the once in a lifetime opportunity to join the first ever colony on the moon as part of this top secret mission. But basically, from the moment he gets there, things go awry, and he is suddenly kind of flying solo and sets out on this high stakes mission to find his father, who's missing, and find out why it is that people are lying about some things that he sees are very obvious happening around him on the moon. It is like the Phantom Toll Booth, it is just rich with these philosophical explorations, these deep moments of personal introspection, but also these just delightful surprises in the form of unusual creatures and very memorable characters. It is a book that is about contradictions and asking questions and having courage and rejecting assumptions. And it's also, I would say, a book about finding community, even when the community is not who you think it might be. So I loved it. And of course, Robbie illustrates all of the books that the two of them do together. And so it's a middle grade novel, but it has just art the whole way through it on every page. So it is really fun also just to see the pieces of text that she pulled out and what she chose to illustrate and how. And it just makes it a whole visual experience, not just one where the pictures are in your head. You get a little bit of both. So anyway, that is coming out in April. And I gotta tell you, I already have been wowed by these two humans, but reading this book made me even more grateful for the chance to know them and grateful for all of their talents. So yeah, that is Life on the Moon. Alvina, just like I'm grateful to know you and even more wowed by your talents and so excited for you. I'm excited for your imprint. I'm excited for their new novel. Yay. It's so fun when we get to just feel excited for the things other people around us are doing.
Well, it's fun because it's like it's things that are coming in the future. It gives us all hope.
Yeah, great. Things to look forward to. That's true. I should just be doing things that aren't out yet so we can just keep looking forward. We all need those reminders right now. Yeah, I mean, I'm aware that not everyone listening has the opportunity necessarily to be at conferences, or maybe you're just getting into the industry. You don't know people who are already these big names. But to me, it's just like, I would imagine everyone listening to this has people in their life who are part of their larger community who wow them with their creative brains or the way they synthesize things. And I just think it's such a gift to have people in our lives who kind of show us the full breadth of the world's possibilities or just wow us by being the people they are. So yeah, let's have gratitude for all the humans who wow us, because what a gift that is. Unless it makes you beat up on yourself, in which case don't do that. You have your own unique talents. Just celebrate. There's room for your brilliance also. All right, so also, kind of in the similar vein, empathy and understanding. Matthew and Robbie's new book, Life on the Moon, definitely demonstrates that. But man, it's just a thing that I think we get to eat, sleep, and breathe so much when we read children's books, and I'm so grateful for it. So one of the books I read this year that really brought that home for me was All the Blues in the Sky. This is a just gorgeous novel in verse by Renee Watson, middle grade. The main character is 13 years old, and she's grieving the loss of her best friend who was hit by a car and killed right in their New York City neighborhood. And much of the story is about the things she learns about herself and others from the friendships that she makes in a grief support group. And each of the kids in that group is sort of navigating grief in their own ways and grieving different kinds of losses. And for me, part of the book is just about, the fact that there is no one way to grieve or no wrong way to grieve. And I forever marvel at Renee's ability to say such profound things with such few words and in such beautiful poetry. And this book is just this slim and powerful volume. So I highly, highly, highly recommend it, especially if you're experiencing any sort of grief and loss event. For me, I found it just to be I felt very seen by this book when I was reading it this year. So All the Blues in the Sky by Renee Watson, highly recommend. And then I just got so grateful for the humans in the world who acknowledge the fullness of our nation's history and who don't run from hard topics. And that means both the people who write truthful stories, the people who publish them, and the families and educators who are still like, of course, we're going to share these with kids, and who understand that this is just helping us build a more empathetic world in the future. And also, with that sort of framing and vein in mind, I want to acknowledge also that November is Indigenous Peoples Month. This is a great month to go out and also find books by Indigenous authors that may be not familiar to you yet to share with your kids or read on your own. And so one that stood out for me that I read recently is Res Kid.
Mm.
This is another picture book. It's written by Andrea Landry, who is Anishinaabe, and illustrated by Isabella Fassler. And it does something a little bit unusual in that while we often see the author's note in a book at the end, this has the author's note right at the beginning, and it explains what it means to be from the res, and it explains how reservations came to be, and sort of touches on the limited resources that are available to families who live on the res today. And then we sort of, armed with that information, then you go into the story. And so this is the story of a kid who is she's a kid who is from the res and being teased by the kids on her bus. And the adults around her are where this is happening, and they keep suggesting ways that she can win them over, help them understand, or stand up to them. And she keeps saying, like, no, I'll find my own way. I'll find my own way. And she does. At one point on the bus, she basically tells the kids all the skills she's learned on the res, and she passes around homemade bannock for them to try. And then she's like, come visit me. Come see for yourself what it's actually right. And she invites them to come with her to the res after school. And then they do. And the illustrations, I don't know, the illustrations of this book are beautiful. They just communicate warmth, and they literally wrap themselves around the characters in these beautiful and dynamic compositions. And that lets us, in many cases, see what's happening up close. We see the details of a character's hands or the things they're holding, but we also see these zoomed out views. We kind of get this feeling of flying and floating as we go through this book and zooming in and out of the pages. But there is just something really, I don't know, it's just a very empowering story about this kid who's being like, no, I'm inviting you with openness to come in and see the thing that I am so proud of. And also, like, stop forming these opinions based on nothing. So I don't know. It's just, I thought it was just a really interesting and powerful book about identity, pride, self-respect, and this openness to sharing and helping others see the things that make your home the rich place that you know it to be, and the things that make you special. So yeah, I really liked it. And that is Res Kid by Andrea Landry and Isabella Fassler.
Awesome.
So yeah, those
Yay.
are my
Yay.
handful. I started to
Well,
go into even more, and I'm like, I think this is
No,
good.
that's
no, that's
great.
good.
One more
And I
for
guess since we're on the theme of gratitude, then now we're going to end as we always do with
Oh,
sharing
yeah.
what we're grateful for. I can start this week. This is a little random. Maybe it's not random. So, one of my rituals is I do Wordle, that New York Times game, every morning. And then I started doing Wordle, and then they have a new game called Strands, and then the mini crossword. And then, but I didn't subscribe, so I couldn't do all of Spelling Bee, and I couldn't
That's
do
me
the
right now.
and I couldn't do the main crossword. But the New York Times they just released a family plan. And so Stephen and I had been sharing the account, which would annoy me sometimes because he would do Wordle sometimes accidentally on my account. And so I would go to do Wordle, and he had already done it. I was like, no. So we joined the family plans, and now we each have our own. And it actually, with it comes full game access, which I didn't actually know. And so now we have both been kind of addicted to Spelling Bee and trying to get to the genius level, if you know. If you know, you know. So now we'll kind of do it on our own, and then every night we will compare. We'll both try to at least get to amazing on our own. And if we haven't, and sometimes we can get to genius on our own, but sometimes not. And then at the end of the night, we'll compare. And it's just so funny that we'll go through the words, and it's just funny the words that he gets that I totally missed, and vice versa. And like what, it's like, oh, I didn't see, like, for example, Naan, right? Like that's something that he always gets. And I'm like, oh, I can't believe I didn't see that. Or nanny. Anyway, so if you've never played Spelling Bee, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but it's basically a word game where you have to make words. But it's been a really nice new ritual that I think that I'm really grateful for. So that's what I'm grateful for. Allison, what are you grateful for?
I like that one. Gareth and I went through a period of time where we did the same thing before we had to pay. And we are not paying for games right now because we're like, we don't need to pay to spend more time on devices. But also, I did really enjoy when we were doing exactly what you guys are doing and sort of comparing notes on words. And I found it fascinating that sometimes I would look and see a million things, and other times I'd be like, stare and see nothing.
Yeah.
And you just put it down and come back, and at other times your brain is ready.
Yeah.
It's
I think it's
fascinating.
helped with kind of my brain fog too, like just to focus
Oh, that
on.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. Um, I want to call out, I have been listening to a lot of kind of creativity themed stuff because I am in a place of kind of trying to do some new creative stuff myself. And I have really gotten hooked on Andy J. Pizza's podcast.
Oh, the
His
creative pep
author
talk.
illustrator Andy J. Pizza. Yeah, his podcast is called Creative Pep Talk. And for anyone who doesn't know it, it's just this delightful celebration of creativity and him sharing his own personal journey and things, challenges he's faced. But then he has really terrific interviews with people. And I've just really liked it. And I like him. I've never met him, but I just now feel like I really like him and I think we'd get along great. So anyway, that's a shout out to Andy J. Pizza. If you don't know his podcast, Creative Pep Talk, I highly recommend it. I think there's a lot there. And you could just pop around and,
Yay.
jump in and out. But there's two books that I'm reading right now that I found directly from his podcast that I will talk about on a future episode because I'm super into them. But I kind of want to get a little further than I am right now. So
Cool. We
more
will
to
stay
come.
tuned.
Yes.
Yeah, I listened to his
Grown-up books, I might add, y'all.
I listened to his podcast. Yeah, I listened like he's made kind of a I don't know. He's been branching out, but I listened to him like way in the beginning when he was talking about like strategy on how to like be like how to make it as an illustrator and all those things. So
Oh,
like it's
interesting.
interesting to see how
Yeah,
like, in the hustle years versus now it's like much more about the creative
right.
like the creative like nurturing your creative fire, whereas like before it was like hustle hustle. So it's like fun to see like we're all branching and growing.
We're all
Yeah,
transforming.
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Grace, what are you Oh,
he's recorded more than 500 episodes, which I
Yeah.
just marvel at anyone. I mean, how many have you guys done now, though?
330
Yeah,
something, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, amazing.
Well, Grace, what are you grateful for?
Yes.
Okay, so I feel like whenever I come back from any kind of conference or book festival, it's always the same thing. It's like I am so grateful that I'm here because I always come back, I always go, and like I said, I see so many beautiful books. I see so many amazing authors, and I'm just like, where, like, like what am I doing here? Like, where, not even that, like, how is it possible that people are able to find my books out of all these books? I mean, just so many. And like, so I'm really, really grateful that I'm here after all these years. I'm really, really grateful for the readers that I do have. Like, so I went to the Texas Book Festival. I didn't have like the longest line in the world. Like there's some people who had like lines that like snaked all over the place. But I felt like the readers who did come to my line, like they were so um every single one of them was like so effusive about like, oh, you're like, I read your book with like as a child, like I loved it, like every reader was just would tell me how much
Yeah.
my work meant to them. And
Nice.
I just felt like, you know what, I'd much rather have quality over quantity. I'd much rather have like 10 people that told me that they love my book and they've like kept it, like how much they cared about it versus like a million who like just like my aunt gave it to me like, or something like that. Not that that's what was happening in the other line. I'm just imagining that because to make myself feel better. But I was just saying like I'm really grateful for the readers that I do have and that they found me and found my books. So that is what I'm grateful for.
That's wonderful.
Yay. We're grateful to them too.
Yes.
Yay.
All right. And that was the Chop Suey, New Imprint, AI and Library Laws, Literary Travel, and Book Recs with Alison Morris episode. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to Alex at Pacey Work Studio for editing this podcast. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend about it.
And tag us on social media. Like we've only done this like 300 times. And I'm like, what are we doing? Oh yes. Tag us on social media using the hashtag BookFriendsForever or send us a message via Instagram at BookFriendsForever_podcast or via our website, BookFriendsForever.com. And please join our Patreon. Maybe someday we'll do something. Maybe I'll give people dish towels. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
I'm Alvina Ling. You can find me at Planet Alvina on TikTok and Alvina Ling on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. Allison, where can people find you?
You can find me at Kid Lit Girl on Instagram and Alison L. Morris on Theoretically on Threads and Facebook and anywhere. Just hit me up.
And I'm Grace Lin, and you can find me at Pacey Lin on Instagram and Threads, and author Grace Lin on Facebook and Blue Sky.
Have a great week.
And happy reading! Bye!